Today's review connects to an iconic Australian lifeline. Everyone in Australia knows this organisation, but if you're one of my brilliant overseas viewers, get ready for a history lesson that's pure outback genius. The story of the Royal Flying Doctor Service is rooted in an incredible vision of a minister named Reverend John Flynn. His mission? To wrap a mantle of safety around people living across Australia's vast, isolated inland. The first commercial flight took off from Cloncurry, Queensland, way back in May 17, 1928, using a leased biplane from the fledgling company we now know as Qantas. A critical early innovation was the pedal-powered radio transceiver, invented by engineer Alfred Traeger. This allowed remote stations to talk directly to a doctor and the base. Imagine that, no cell phones, just your feet and a genius bit of tech. The service exploded, earning its royal title in the 1955. Today, the Royal Flying Doctor Service is an Australian icon, providing 24/7 emergency retrievals, primary healthcare and services across 7.15 million square kilometres using more than 80 aircraft. That land area is equivalent to the entire contiguous 48 states of the United States. So now you know the story of the RFDS. You'll instantly see the similarities between this brilliant Lego set, its brilliant team of medicos, and that legendary Australian icon. I'm Lord Paul, and this is Lord Paul's Bricks. Hey fellow brick builder, if this is your first time here, you've landed on the right runway. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back to the team. As we dive into the details, you'll see exactly why I started with the Royal Flying Doctor Service reference. The 1988 Lego set 6356 MedStar rescue plane is the perfect ABS embodiment of that vital service. If you enjoy this deep dive, smash that like button. It tells YouTube to share the classic Lego love. And if you're ever in need of a rescue, from boredom of course, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. I also want to hear your stories, so drop your thoughts in the comments. I read and respond to everyone. This set flies in with 140 pieces and 3 classic minifigures. This emergency plane is a serious piece of kit, sporting 4 propellers, a huge medical transport bay, and a piece of Lego history. It's the final Lego Town or City set to feature the classic Red Cross logo, which was a symbol used on emergency vehicles since 1970. I picked this up brand new in 1988, so I still have the original box and instructions. This set is in great shape, though I have to admit, a few of the white plastic pieces have developed that inevitable vintage Lego discoloration because my early sets got a lot of play. But it is part of the charm, right? This box is the classic late 80s style, showing some really creative alternative builds on the back. But before we build, let's talk dollars and cents. My price discussion always gets the most chatter. The key takeaway, especially compared to modern sets, is how much the piece count and variety have changed. But even accounting for that, it's fascinating to look at the cost of entry back in the day. This set had an Australian retail price of $27.99 in 1988. With 140 pieces, that works out to 20 cents per piece. Folks, that was a lot of money back then. To put that into modern perspective, using today's inflation data, that $27.99 in Australian dollars, which is $22 American, from 1988 is the equivalent of approximately $85 Australian in 2025. So it's about $55-60 in American dollars. That jumps our price per piece to 61 cents. But what about the secondary market? A used set with a box and instructions in similar condition to mine will run you around 70 Australian dollars on Bricklink. But if you want a pristine sealed box, you're easily looking at over $500. But if you look at a modern 140-piece city set, you're usually paying around $25 to $30. I'll say it again, vintage Lego used to be seriously expensive. No medical rescue plane is complete without a talented crew. This set gives us a sharp-dressed pilot, a dedicated medico, and their essential patient. Our pilot looks the part. He sports a torso with a classic black jacket, tie, gold buttons, and a golden pilot logo. He's finished off with black legs, the classic black cap, and of course the iconic classic smiley face. The minifigure was used in 15 sets between 1985 and 2004. While the legs and cap are very common pieces, the torso was used in 19 sets between 1985 and 2005. The patient is a simple female minifigure with a plain blue torso, light grey legs, and a black medium-length hairpiece. The torso and legs are super common, but that black hairpiece was a classic, appearing in 158 sets from 1983 all the way up until 2018. My main thought here is that the simplicity is a bit of a letdown. To care for our patient, we have our medical worker. I'm calling him the flight medic. He has one of the only 2 printed medical torsos from the classic town era. He's finished with red legs and a common black hairpiece. The cool thing with this guy though, this specific minifigure combination is unique to this set. The torso was introduced in 1980 and appeared in 14 sets until 1988. The hairpiece was another very common minifigure element, having been in more than 500 sets. I have mixed thoughts on this trio. The pilot looks awesome and the Medico is a nice piece of history, but the lack of detail on the patient I think is a missed opportunity. But it's time now to see if there's any bits and pieces of treasures we can find. This set is a little more recent than some of my deepest dives. It's only 37 years old. Because of that, we might not find as many ancient pieces, but the beauty here is certainly no stickers and there are some great printed elements. Our first piece is a black 2x2 45-degree slope brick with an instrument panel print. This printed piece was used in 23 sets between 1985 and 2004. Next up, we have a couple of white 1x2x2 panels with red cross print. This was seen in 4 sets between 1987 and 1990. Our final printed piece is a 2x2 white tile with the same red cross pattern. First seen in 1981, this was used in 5 sets all the way up until 1988. The minifigure utensil stretcher piece was first introduced in 1985, appeared in 38 sets until 2016. There are 2 small pieces that attach to the underside of this stretcher and they were worked as the wheels. This piece was used in 39 sets between 1985 and 2008. When put together, they make a really handy piece combination. The wheels on the underside of the plane are supported by a 2x2 modified plate with dual wheels holder, which has been in 86 sets after first appearing in 1985, and it is still used today. But attached to this wheels holder is, of course, wheels. The wheel and hub assemblies with smooth tyres appeared in 113 sets from 1985 to 2012. The 4x1x3 plain tailpiece was first seen in 1986 and it has been in 181 sets and still used today. Going from tail to the wings, the 4x9 wedge plate is the earlier type without stud notches. This type was seen in 134 sets from 1987 to 2014. The later version of this plate was introduced in 2010 and fits better on studs below than this version, and that is still used today. Our final pieces to show you today are the 4x4 45-degree double slope with hinge and hinge plate. The slope was introduced in 1985, appeared in 41 sets until 2004, and the 1x4 hinge tile, which appeared in 192 sets between 1984 and 2004. The parts here perfectly capture the clean, functional design of the late 80s. That was a brief parts analysis though, but because it's really time we got building. As I mentioned earlier, I have the original instructions, which are a large fold-out sheet with 16 steps to the build. The sheet is in really good condition, so we should be able to fly through today's build. We start off with a 2x16 red plate, which becomes a key to this structure with most of the body attached to this piece. The 4x4 inverted slopes attached to the underside with the sides of the plane building on those. With the plane sides and windows added, some more red details, and we build up the wings, flip over the plane, and we add some wheels. The dual plane tails are built on with another 2x16 plate that attaches across the tails, and finishing touches like the opening roof gives us a completed plane. The design of the plane fits in well with other aircraft and airports of the late 80s, and it looks really good. The colour scheme also fits with the ambulances and other medical sets of the same period. I don't think that this set has a bad angle from which to view it, and the idea of the twin tail is great for allowing loading of the stretcher, and I think that's a really nice design element to it. There may be one day when I will forget my disclaimer that I'll review these sets in the context of the era in which they were first released. And for this MedStar rescue plane, that was 1988. For piece selection, I give this a 4.5 out of 5. It makes a great plane that is nicely proportioned from the nose to tail. The colour scheme is perfect for the emergency vehicles of the era, but my minor criticisms are the small propellers and the light on the tail. I think should be white or yellow, not red if my understanding of that area of plane design is correct. The minifigures are a 3.5 out of 5. This is sort of a letdown of this set, even though the pilot looks awesome and common among other pilot related sets. The medical guy is good, but another common torso, and the patient minifigure is fairly plain. It would have been great if Lego could have rustled up a printed torso for the patient minifigure, because there were plenty available by then. The building enjoyment is 4.5 out of 5. It all comes together really nicely, and for 1988, a couple of nice building innovations, particularly how the wings and tails all nicely integrate. For playability, and I'm a bit of a softie when it comes to scoring this criterion, but this is a 5 out of 5. A plane, a pilot, a medico, and a patient on a stretcher makes for a great play set. The plane is well built, it's solid for swooshing, and the opening tail for the stretcher is really good. The inside of the plane has room for a pilot, the medico, and the patient on the stretcher, so you can load everything in and take off. So, the 6356 MedStar Rescue Plane achieves a total score of 17.5 out of 20. This is a fantastic score and well deserved for a truly good classic set. Remember, this was the final Town and City Lego set to use the Red Cross logo for emergency vehicles, which gives it a significant piece in the history of the theme. When you look at these final images, it's easy to see why it scored well. Referencing it back to the Royal Flying Doctor Service, you can absolutely picture this little plane on a remote outback airstrip completing a vital mission. I do plan a future comparison review with this classic MedStar Rescue Plane and set Ford's 60465 Air Ambulance from this year's city sets, so keep an eye out for that. So, I hope you've enjoyed today's deep dive review of 6356 MedStar Rescue Plane. If you enjoyed the review, please drop a like. It really helps other vintage lovers find my work. There are always plenty of classic reviews coming, so make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, and you'll be the first to know when they land. As always, I love hearing from you, so please leave a comment or ask a question. I read and respond to everyone. So, thanks for watching, and keep expanding your amazing vintage Lego world. I'm Lord Paul, and this is Lord Paul's Bricks, and bye for now.